Oh, hello everyone, welcome back. So some exciting things are going on, and obviously I'm guessing you probably know what those are if you're seeing the title of this video, which is why you probably clicked on it or why you searched it and you found this one, and it's similar title to the question or what you've heard and you clicking on my video to watch this. So the FBI has been weaponized and has raided Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago mansion, which I do not believe that he was there. I think that he was somewhere else and he just made a statement about it, about this happening. And literally it screams one thing to me, and that's desperation. And the reason why I'm saying that is look at everything else they've done. Since the very beginning, they've had these witch hunts trying to impeach him like 2 or 3 times. They tried to say that he was colluding with Russia. They have done this whole January 6th thing from the very beginning. So before the January 6th committee started, they said that it was Trump's fault. Whenever Trump, you can look at what he said, and he said, march over to the Capitol and be peaceful. And that's exactly what I believe that he intended, and I more than believe that that's what he intended for people to do, was to go there and just go protest, which is your right to do. You have the right to protest. And I actually believe even further, since we do have the Second Amendment right, even though most of those people, probably none of them were armed, we have the right to defend our Constitution. And since the those people inside that building that was stormed, and where by patriots, and most of those patriots weren't really patriots. Most of them were Antifa dressed like patriots, and even though nothing bad happened in there besides one person was shot that was an actual patriot, I believe was possibly an Air Force active Air Force, maybe, I don't exactly remember. It was a female, God bless her, but she is no longer alive. And yeah, so after all that stuff, I do believe also in that period of time a bunch of laptops were taken, like from Nancy Pelosi and some other people. People went into Nancy Pelosi's office and took pictures at her desk, like just chilling with their feet kicked up, things like that. I think one window was broken, and there was a paid Antifa protester that was saying, "We did this. I can't believe that we did this," type of stuff, but a bunch of curse words in there. And there was that, and there was that guy with the bull hat, the bull horns on his head in there, and it was just a really big, silly situation going on. But why wouldn't the American people want to insert themselves and say, look, we've been outside protesting, now we're in here, stop not listening to us. This is a government by the people, for the people, hence the we the people part of our Constitution and all that stuff. Like, what they're doing is wrong. So there's been tons and tons of more Americans since then step up and change affiliations from Democratic Party to Republican Party. There have been tons of Democrats that are in Congress and Senate and things like that step down or change to Republican. There's been lots of that stuff going on, and it's kind of obvious at this point what those people are doing to a lot of people, especially if they want answers and didn't have them, and they go to YouTube or get given, look, hey, there's this guy on YouTube named David Nino Rodriguez, or there's this guy on YouTube named Dr. Steve Turley and has a channel called Turley Talks, or there is this guy on that is kind of hard to find now called David Barton or Dave Barton. That is the first person I started listening to explain this trash going on. And there's tons of other ones, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people that are shedding light to the situation in different aspects, like the Patriot Nurse. Great lady. I don't know very much about her, but there are times that I see one of her headlines and I gotta watch this, so I'll watch it. And I believe that she has a really logical outlook on what's going on, so I continue to watch that stuff and want to educate myself. There's so many gray lines in what's going on, so you just kind of have to rely on people that are willing to actually give you the news with with the resources that they have available to them to be able to report to you what they believe is going on. And all these different reporters that are constitutionalists, American loving patriot reporters that are doing their job, because our news media will not do it. That's why CNN doesn't have any viewers barely anymore. They couldn't even launch their own CNN Plus app because nobody would buy it. They barely had any buyers. I think there might have been like 15,000 buyers, and that might be a lot more. It might have been 5,000 or 10,000. I don't exactly remember, but it is what it is. So getting back into it, so then they kick off this January 6th committee, and they have these bogus people. One girl said that she witnessed some violence from Donald Trump against one of his Secret Service members, and some trash like that. And the Secret Service came out and said, "Look, none of this happened." And they're just making they're a joke. Every single one of them people, from obviously Biden himself, which I don't even believe is the real Biden. So if some of y'all go back and look at what Biden was looking like whenever he was in the office with Obama, like look at his face, like look at his nose, like side view of his nose. Look at this guy's nose that's in the office now. Like, these are not the same people. Like, I don't know if any of y'all have noticed this. If you have noticed it, comment below and tell me what you think is going on. There have been multiple people. The one that I can remember right now that came out and basically said that they were a clone is, who was that? Chris Brown came out and said he was an alien. And then somebody got in a really bad car crash and shouldn't have survived at all, but came out and said that they were a clone. It was a celebrity. I don't exactly remember who it is. They're basically having an interview with him and asking him, how are you able to do this, this and that, and this and that? And he's just like, I'm a clone. Like, straight up said that stuff. So, like I said, I do not remember who that was, but it's something that I've seen. And where there's smoke, there's fire. There's so many of these celebrities saying similar stuff that there has to be some truth behind some of it, which is it's really just mind-blowing that there would be clones running around out there. Like, it just makes no sense to me. I've also heard a lot of stories about Hillary Clinton. The version of her running around right now is a lot shorter or a lot taller than the one that is supposed to be the real one. So don't know what's going on with that. There's just a lot of stuff that is just I don't even know how to say it. It's just, I don't know. And then I've just been waiting for the whole 113 pink party to come out, if you know what I'm talking about. Adrenochrome. So once all that starts coming out, and what it means and what it is and how you get it and who is doing it, I think that is what, in my view, that is the most powerful thing of everything going on to start the Second Great Awakening. I do believe that. I believe that that's God's plan. Even if you're not a Christian person, a lot of this stuff that I had set up until this Second Great Awakening thing is true. Even the 113 thing, the pink thing, the adrenochrome thing, all that stuff is true. So even if you don't believe in Christianity or God or whatever, or the Second Great Awakening, it's something that I believe. It shouldn't deter you from continuing to listen. That's just me, okay, and a lot of other people too. I believe that with my whole heart, that this is part of God's plan to turn this country around for a time, for a season, until something else happens, at whatever point. Don't know when that's going to happen, but I'm going to continue to do my best to have a happy life and to look at this stuff that's going on right now as a modern Bible story. So anyways, getting back into it again, the January 6th committee just made it nowhere. Like, they were just a joke. A lot of other even liberal news outlets were admitting these people are this whole thing's a joke, and they even hired some type of producer to put this all together to make it appeal to the public, and nobody watched it. Don't get me wrong, there were people watching it, but it was nothing. Nobody cares about that. Right now, whenever they poll people and ask them what they care about inflation. They care about another thing that they don't care about is what's going on in the transgender world. right now they care about, you know, like I said, inflation. They care about, you know, taxes. They care about a lot of stuff like that. There's plenty of other things that are really logical things to care about that are going on. Like Biden just signed this big old tax thing. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I was looking at it a while back. People were talking about it at work last night, and it's just bogus. It's going to raise the taxes, 15% extra more taxes on corporate and companies, and you know, no telling what, and it involves audits for people making under 400,000. I think they should abolish the IRS. I don't just think that, I know they should. It's not constitutional, because of what Americans originally came here for, was just to escape religious persecution and taxation that was going on over there in Europe. And now we're here. You know, things after we got here things happened that I'm not proud of, via, including what we did, what the American, well, not me, but you know, ancestors of mine and yours and whatever have done to Indians, the natives that were living here and took their land and things like that, and also slavery itself, of black people and other races that were enslaved here during the 1700s, and you know, that stuff's really sad. But as a result of that, we have black people in this country now, which is, you know, I believe in a lot of different ways, part of the backbone of this country, and they helped create this country into what it is now, up into the point where they were taken advantage of by government, and with being promised stuff that they never get, and being taught to be dependent on a government and on taxes of other people and things like that, which isn't obviously the whole black community, but it's a lot of it. There have been a lot of arguments as to why black people don't have you know, wealth to hand down to their children. It probably has something to do with the amount of black people that are on welfare, and when you're on welfare, you don't have barely anything to hand down to anybody, because you're living for free. But if you assert yourself out there and go and make yourself have, and get, you know, a business idea, or work yourself up into management in a company, and then start your own company, you can have that. I have no more rights than a black person does. Actually, I have less, because when it comes to, you know, a legal situation, I'm more likely to be shot or whatever, or be fired from a job. There's a, you know, this is completely a rabbit hole. I have no idea where I went here. But anyways, our country has been destroyed by people, and that has used minorities, a bunch of minorities put together, the LGBTQPTR thing with gay people and lesbians and prostitutes and whatever they are. Those added together with, you know, some of the black community, and they're trying to use Latinos, and they're trying to use transgenders, and they're wanting to add all these people together to make a majority, to make it like a voting superpower. And it hasn't worked out in their best favor. It hasn't really worked out for them. A lot more Latinos are turning towards, you know, a logical political standpoint, which is Republican. Even though Republicans also do things that they shouldn't be doing, especially ones that have been paid to do things that they're doing, kind of like doctors have been paid to, you know, write that somebody died from COVID when they did not, or the scientists were paid to say that global warming is a thing when it is not. There was recently a guy that came on CNN, I do believe it was CNN, and he basically trounced all over him, said that you're like retarded. Global warming isn't a thing. The only reason why it is a thing is because government elites are paying these people millions of dollars to say this stuff. Global warming's fake. Like, we literally went through an ice age. Before that, we went through a tropical period, and now we're like in a semi-tropical period, where there, you know, obviously we have the southern states that are more tropical, northern states that are more winterish states, and things like that. They've been saying things from the very beginning that all these different things were going to happen. Oh, and it was the ozone layer, or it was the east and the west coast would flood, or we would, you know, the southern states would start flooding, and a bunch of people would die. If they did start flooding, people would have time to move. Nobody would die. People would just move. You know, they make stuff into a big deal to get people to freak out and get them to vote, just like they did with COVID. People woke up to that too. So anyways, back to this whole Trump thing, which I do think the man is a great man. I heard Kim Clement say that, he's a Christian prophet, say that, didn't refer to Trump, but he was referring to Trump by what God was telling him. He said that the man would be considered God's David. I don't know if you know anything about the Bible and what David was to God, but also said that this new president's name, his name would be written in gold. It's just obvious who was being talked about, and I do believe a lot of these prophets that they're on point with the things that are going on. But we have Trump that got into office, and the Democrats wanted nothing to do with that. He wasn't supposed to win the first time in 2016 election, but he did. I believe their algorithm and their voting mechanics that they had worked out for him not to win completely failed because of the amount of people that voted for him. I believe this past election that Trump pretty much won almost every state. I believe that, if not almost every one. Besides some of the, like, people aren't stupid. Like, I know that a lot of these big cities like Los Angeles and New York City, Manhattan and stuff like that, they're so tied in with the deep state, every single one of them voting machines is rigged. And I'd be surprised if 10% of those, if 10% votes made it through for Republicans. That's why the cities are always so blue and the population outside is red. It just doesn't make any sense if you just think about it. Like, why would it be like that? It's like that because of, like, evil, you know, literally. So, I don't believe what's going on right now is anything that is a permanent threat to us, but it is a permanent threat at the same time. I believe that God's in control, first and foremost, but I believe that this is one of those big last-minute pushes by the Democrat Party because they are freaking out. Kind of just like this thing that Biden just did, to some type of emergency 90-day thing to try to get where they're going to have more mail-in ballot boxes and all that stuff, and mail-in ballots and things like that, because they want to do what they did last time. I have no idea why nothing has happened yet about that stuff. I am 100% sure that the election was not a just election, that it was a rigged election, that it was fraudulent. I don't care what YouTube says. They can be as mad as they want, but I don't believe it at all. You know, there's just too much information out there pointing the opposite direction. You know, people knew about what Biden was about, you know, the state of mind that he was in at that time. Since then, he has only gotten worse. It just doesn't, none of that makes sense to me at all. It also doesn't make sense to me how an 80-year-old can run upstairs. Have you all seen that? He fell, but he bounced right back up, ran up the stairs of his airplane, like he just jogged up the stairs. 80-year-olds don't do that. Like, it makes no sense at all. Like, he might be old and his brain might not be working right, but something else is going on with that dude that makes no sense to me at all. So, if y'all have been wondering about what people think, people that kind of have been watching this, I watch stuff all the time. Multiple different people that I pay attention to, people that I do believe to have factorial evidence, and also things that they talk about to be presented in a way to be non-biased, but also a lot of this non-biased stuff is just inherently constitutional or Republican or whatever, because of literally the mindset of the Democratic Party is just so terrible in what they want to do, that and I believe that there's a lot of righteousness in the Republican Party as a whole, and that when everything comes out logical, any statement as far as anything, you know, political, in a political direction comes out, and it is a logical statement, and it is also I don't even know how else to say it. There, you can just tell when something, like, I don't even know. So anyways, I hope that y'all enjoyed the video. I do believe that this is going to be a failing last-minute push by the Democratic Party to try to overturn what's going to happen in November. They might succeed in some ways, but I believe that, you know, as a whole, I believe that God is in charge, and I believe that it's too late for them. That's honestly what I believe. And I hope that some of you Might have some extra information that you could probably give. Comment section, I might hear some not so good stuff in the comment section, but once again, this is my opinion, and this is my more of a hypothesis. This is what I have come to believe based on things that I've heard that I know to be true. So that's why I'm saying this stuff. I want to be able to help y'all, to not really give you hopium, but to, at the same time, yes, to give you hope, to let you know that, you know, the Democratic Party doesn't know what to do. They're freaking out. I got some fly flying around me. Anyway, I love all y'all. Jesus loves you. Like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.